a strong feeling that justice was not being done.
It was devastating to see that much fear. And I'm responsible for them. I'm supposed to protect them.
We hope you enjoy Sky Country Journal. Here's Rena.
Oh, excuse me. I'm calling Barbara Streisand.
According to Karen Bud Fallon, Friends of the Northern Yellowstone Elkherd holds all 4 aces when it comes to wolf litigation. That's what she told the Montana legislature, and they appropriated in the House by a supermajority vote to give me $200,000 to go sue over wolves. Governor Schweitzer held in the Senate Finance Committee, he held much larger numbers hostage until they killed this bill in committee. But that'll give you an idea what our peers, our fellow citizens, the constituents of all of these elected officials believe. They believe that they're entitled to a day in court.
Friends of the Northern Yellowstone Elkherd's litigation, it has nothing to do with seeking delisting of the wolf as an endangered species. It has everything to do with giving the people of Montana a day in court to talk about the economic and environmental damage that was caused by a program that was allowed to run unchecked for the last decade. Great harm in the hundreds of millions of, if not billions of dollars, was done by the negligence of Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, academia, and the Department of Interior. That harm has got to be paid back to the people of Montana, and we believe it was a criminal enterprise that brought these wolves in. We believe it was fraud, and we're seeking punitive punishment, treble damages for the fraud that caused this great harm to our environment and economies and our people.
What's happened here locally? We have a $12 million hunting industry that has been just about destroyed. We have documentation coming in from the little lodges, the bed and breakfasts, the little motels that typically make their money for their entire winter during our fall hunting season, having zero occupancy this year. It's been coming down now for the last 4 or 5 years, and this has been by far the worst year. Again, because the word has gone out to hunters that there's no game here anymore. As everyone knows, back in June, our county put out a request to our citizens to give us input on their wolf interactions that they may have had, or economic impacts or problems.
The purpose of our conversation here is to establish impacts to Valley County citizens. The revenue coming from these areas is it's more than significant. It's staggering, actually. So the number of hunters in that area, so look how many zeros, that's 1.4 million, 1.2 million, $1 million. The number of hunters, and this is only out of the West Fork, out of the Darby Ranger Station alone, the difference between 2004 and 2010, what is that? That's $6 million. Yeah, that's right. The difference of $6 million from 2004 to 2010 in total expenditures. And you think, well, now, that's crazy. This is what the reports say. Again, these are all only through Darby Check Station. those amounts of money on an area that size is staggering. Everybody knows that in the West Fork, the elk population isn't in danger. It's the damage has been done. Now the Lolo and Sawtooth aren't far from here and aren't much different than our forest. In fact, than our units. Quoting him, it says several factors are work, but today wolves are the primary reason that elk are still trending down in the zone and cannot recover. Article, by the way, 9, Section 7 of the Constitution guarantees the preservation of game harvest. It is a significant cultural component. It's a significant economic component of this valley. Article 11, Section 4 states that the county has powers either provided or implied by statute. That's important. And it's different than other local government units. It's different than municipalities. It's different than local school boards or anything else. It says the county has powers either provided or implied by statute. Article 11, Section 7 states that a county may cooperate in any function of the state or United States. And specifically in 87-1-217 states that the FWP shall consult and coordinate with counties and tribal governments when making decisions concerning large predator control. Specifically talks about large predator control.
One of the things that you didn't look at or take into consideration was the impact that the elk are having on the ranches along the river bottom. The river bottom, for the last 8 years, we've watched the migration go from there was no elk on the river bottom to now the elk are on the river bottom all year round. I lost 10 tons of hay last season because they got so hungry they just finally broke the door in the barn and got into the barn.
First thing, are there other public comments before we have more board discussion?
I'm out of uniform. I'm Craig Jordan with Fish, Wildlife and Parks. I'm the area wildlife biologist. I appreciate the meeting. I want to reemphasize not only my professional need and want, desire to work with the commission, and we work with the citizens of this county ever since I've been here. So it's nothing new. That's what we're here for. The thing I would caution Commissioner Canowisher is that there's some inferences on the data that you presented that I think are incorrect. And if we are in the mode of trying to get accurate information, it's not intentional in any way on recording all. But if we want to give accurate, best information to the people, then I hope we can have another discussion about some of the data that we supply to you. It's important. It's very important. But the other thing is that I think in your presentation, it looks as though the commission was on the front line of the 10J application. I mean, that's the way it reads.
I'm sorry.
And I just want to be sure that people know that it's the citizens of this county that came working through me and through Mike Thompson, the wildlife manager of Missoula, that took that forward. So that was it was the only place in the state that happened. And so I want to make sure that the citizens of the county are recognized for that. I don't want to get in the way of that whatsoever. I'm here just trying to reinforce the fact that like many other groups and entities and citizens that we work with, the county should not be on the outside of that. Be more than happy to want to work with you. If there's information you need, it's all public information. I'll supply any information that I have for you. The thing that I was just cautioning about is I think some of the relationships that you try to make the tie to in the information presented, it's misleading because I think there's relationships trying to be made that
Can you give an example?
Well, I think one might be when you look at the overall population and then you look at the bull harvest. And the fact is the bull harvest varies from year to year. You were trying to make the tie to the population based on the bull harvest or how many bulls. And it's really, we use the antlerless harvest to control the population, not the bull harvest. And so the bull harvest can vary widely year to year, somewhat independent of the population, right, based on conditions. And it's like those are things that are important, I think, to get down to the gnat's eyebrow on when we're trying to provide information to folks that are going to be making helping us make decisions this fall.
Oh, and I absolutely get that. But I guess here's the gnat's eyebrow of those things is actually what you guys do. I don't have the ability to get to the gnat's eyebrow. I mean, so that's not. And I actually said that when I offered that slide, is to say, look, I know that's not the right. When I'm just using antlered as an example because we can show all kinds of other harvests. But the point is, which is correct, and I think is inarguable, is that if we continue to hunt less elk on the West Fork, that's not going to fix the problem.
And you know, there's no one more aware of the situation than I, nor aware of the economic hardship that some of this is going on. I get it. I was raised in Montana. These things are as important to me as they are to anybody else out here. And I'll tell you the truth. I don't work for government because I have some great love for government. I work for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks because it gave me an avenue to do what I wanted to do. So that being said, there's a danger, I would say, in the way my philosophy of management, I'm trying to hook in economics in with wildlife management because I have never made a decision based on the economics. I have never made a proposal. I don't make decisions. I make proposals working with the residents. Starting to tie in economics into wildlife management and proposals, it puts the whole thing at a different level. And so I think we have always tried to make decisions based on what's best for the resource first. That's what our mission is.
The numbers that have come out of Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks make no sense whatsoever compared to any other studies that are being done in the region, and their management policy is ineffective.
Tried to get the calf confirmed. The GPS points was south, and then they were north of his kill. But his kill was a ridge to the east. And so the ODF&W said, oh no, they crossed through the canyon. They didn't go that way. And it was the route that they'd been going all spring and some winter. But we find a wolf killing livestock or attacking livestock, chasing, harassing them, we cannot do anything but make an attempt in a non-injurious way to chase that wolf off. A calf killed here the first part of June, and things on just to the north of us across the fence, and just on the south side in May we had 3 cows that were injured by wolves, and now those were, the ODF&W did not agree with us on the call on the injuries, but our sheriff's office and our wildlife service agent said that, confirmed that. The calf. But this was the kill. ODF&W wouldn't come out to the site, and so I hauled it into town for him, into the local office, and the wolf coordinator done his investigation there on the carcass and claimed that it wasn't a wolf kill. And about a month and a half later, after sending stuff to a laboratory up in Washington and then having a wildlife service agent out of Idaho look at the carcass, the ODF&W finally moved it to a probable. But it wasn't the science. Out 4 miles and things straight across. Joseph is just to your south, to the south and east there. And what we've had here is that this Imnaw pack of wolves comes in from the east, just behind us, and comes right out in these homes that are closest to us here in the picture and things. We've had documented wolves within 150 yards of one of the furthest house, and then this close one here where the haystacks are. At the same night, they were within 200 yards. Yeah, I got it. 200 yards of that. And that guy there, he was calving, and the wolves stirred up the cattle enough that the cows that night stepped and trampled the calf to death and things. And there's no confirmation, nothing that ODF&W will even look at or consider on something like that, because there's no...
yeah, I've had 2 confirmed kills just over here behind us, and I run cattle on quite a large range here. The big sheep drainage down below us. about 15 miles back that way I start, and then I end up about 15 miles up above us, back up toward the edge of the mountains here. And so it's a large range, lots of country to go over, and lots of places where you can't check on your cattle very closely. In most cases, where we can see the whole scene, they run them to death, or they start eating on them before they're dead.
Yeah. And I mean, the trauma that these cattle go through is unbelievable. And you know, and I have been fortunate enough yet not to have lost one of my own, but I've been to the majority of these kills, and the anxiety and what it causes these producers is just there's no words for it. You can't describe what happens to those guys. And
because the whole topic I'm getting into tonight is about the wolf lies that have led to this disaster that we're now experiencing. You know, one of the reasons that environmentalists and the pro-wolfers used when they were pushing to get, you know, the wolves reestablished here in the Northern Rockies was they kept claiming they would balance the ecosystem, and they were the sanitarians of nature. And you know, that is actually the biggest wolf lie, one of the biggest wolf lies of all. They claimed that they'd be good for the health of our big game populations by weeding out the sick and the weak. And then that wolves would only kill what they needed to eat. Now those three right there are three of the biggest wolf lies. That's the wolf lies that the entire Northern Rockies Wolf Recovery Project was based on. Native here. Our native wolf here was Canis lupus eremotus. And at maturity, a mature male would top sometimes a little over 90 pounds. The wolves they brought down and turned loose in Northern Rockies were Canis lupus occidentalis and Canis lupus glacialis. I took a picture of a wolf track in Missoula, inside the city limits of Missoula, Montana, back in the 1st of May. It's the Blue Mountain Recreation Area that's right there in Missoula. And I walked in there maybe about a quarter of a mile, and there was fresh wolf tracks. And I mean, it's not gooey mud. It was solid. I could hardly leave a track in it. But there was a clear wolf track there that I took a photograph of. I laid a brand new $1 bill, 6 1/4 inches, right next to that track, and that track from the tip of the back, front toe, the longest toe, to the back of the heel is just as long, if not just a bit longer. But actually, you know, our Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, there's another person that they get their orders from, and that's our governor. The governor is the puppet master of our game department. So whenever they take a stand, it's not necessarily Joe Marier's stand. It's probably Brian Schweitzer's stand.
I think that's the best way to handle the wolves with the diseases and everything, that you pack a little shovel and basically everyone that hunts should shoot these wolves.
I agree 100%. That's because that's the only way we're going to take care of the problem. You know, you can't choreograph a season where you can go out and shoot enough wolves to make a difference. It doesn't work. And you know, if you're out there tending cattle and a wolf comes across, you know, bang. If you're out there fishing, or if you carry like an old 12-gauge shotgun with buckshot along with you on a trail, one steps out, bang. You know, that's the only way we're going to get the numbers down.
Will you work on a bill?
Yes, I will.
And I will submit the bill draft?
Yes, I will. I will.
I'm a holdover sender, and I will submit your bill draft.
Okay, the first wolf came in over there and had a lamb. The two pups came in on that small rock pile right over there and had my 12 goats and probably 6 sheep on top of the rock pile, and they were circling them. So my husband had looked out that window, saw them, came out with his 22-250 with a scope, and he shot from this corral and killed the black wolf first. The female wolf just turned and looked at him, broadside. Didn't even move. Nothing. So he shot her. And that's the horn goat. She was literally facing the black wolf with her head down and doing mock charges. But the wolves are howling in that area. Last night at 7 o'clock he started again. And then he's answered somewhere over in there. 2, maybe 3 wolves. And, you know, and my sheep are right over there. 100. And they always had 100 calves. And this year we had 9 cows, elk cows in here with 1 spike, and we had 5 calves. 5. I go up and adjust the water at Mill Lake, which is 13 miles up. And in 1 year, we saw 9 bull moose, little horns to the real big ones, with a wattle. I mean, that wattle was between his knees. He was so big. We were making really good time, and then he stood on the trail. We went, okay, it's yours. And saw a cow with a calf up there. And then in 2008 was the last time I saw anything. We had stayed the night, and she heard the wolves starting to howl that morning. She's a Forest Service mule. She's been there. She's done it. She knows how to handle different people around her. She was shaking so hard, her teeth were rattling. And you keep trying to tell her it's going to be okay. We're going to get out of here. It's going to be okay. And we could hardly get her saddled. She was shaking so hard. She was hardly able to even allow us to pack her up because she was constantly whirling to make sure those wolves weren't close. And I swear she was crying. She was so scared. And it was devastating to see that much fear. And I'm responsible for them. I'm supposed to protect them.